You've entered Interstellar Chronicles. Close your eyes and drift into another world, a place where stars whisper forgotten names, where time folds and destinies collide across galaxies. Your journey begins now. An ordinary human met a Zorathian warsinger and forged an unbreakable love extended. The galaxy of Arinder blazed with 1,000 suns, each a silent chronicler of empires that rose and crumbled before Earth's first spark of life flickered into being. The Vraxis Dominion, their minds crystalline matrices of unrelenting logic, wove cities that danced on gravitic tides, their spires singing quantum hymns that mapped the cosmos with unerring precision. Their society was a lattice of order, each drone and citizen a node in a vast computational web, emotions deemed a glitch, a flicker of chaos in their perfect algorithms. Their technology, gravitic manipulators, neural relays, and quantum oracles, allowed them to predict and control the flows of trade and war, their crystalline minds unyielding in their pursuit of balance. The Silther Collective, their bodies forged of living metal, sculpted themselves into instruments of war, their culture a relentless paean to strength, where weakness was a sin branded in molten steel, their forges burning with the heat of dying stars. Their warships, grown from liquid alloys, moved like predators, their hulls shifting to adapt to any threat. The Zorathian Clave, ethereal beings of light and resonance, lived through songs that could rend starships, kill shattered worlds, or bind souls across the void. Their Caliph, a personal song unique to each Zorath, was their essence, sung only to those they trusted with their core, a sacred act that bared their soul. Their cities, woven from harmonic fields, floated in nebulae, their structures pulsing with light that told stories of their ancient lineage. To these ancient powers, humanity was a fleeting anomaly, a fragile species tethered to a single blue world, their bodies soft, their lives brief, their emotions a chaotic tempest that baffled and amused. They called humans ephemera, sparks fated to vanish in the galaxy's eternal night. Yet sparks, as Arinder would soon discover, can kindle infernos that reshape the stars. This is the tale of Elias Kane, a man so unremarkable he faded even among his own, and Lyriath Varn, a Zorathian warsinger whose voice could sway the tides of fate. Their story began on the precipice of a diplomatic summit, where a single misunderstanding ignited a blaze that would burn through prejudice, fear, and the cold calculus of the cosmos. It is a story of survival, of love, of a spark that dared to shine in a galaxy that underestimated its fire, woven with the threads of those who walked beside them. Comrades, traitors, and dreamers, each carrying their own burdens and hopes in a universe that tested their resolve. The Etherian Station, a crescent of pearlescent alloy, hung above a gas giant whose storms churned like molten rubies, casting crimson light across its hull. The swirling clouds below a reminder of the galaxy's untamed heart. Its corridors thrummed with the voices of a dozen species, Vraxis drones chittering in binary pulses, their crystalline forms glinting like prisms as they hovered with mechanical precision. Silther emissaries clanking with the weight of their metallic bodies, their eyes glowing like molten iron, each step a testament to their unyielding strength, and Zorathian harmonics weaving through the air like living threads of starlight, each note a ripple in the fabric of reality, carrying emotions that could soothe or shatter. The summit was a fragile tapestry, woven to mend the fraying peace between the Zorathian Clave and the Silther Collective, whose border skirmishes had left entire systems scarred with wreckage and ash, their stars dimmed by the debris of war. The stakes were high. A single misstep could ignite a conflict that would consume the sector, leaving only ruins in its wake. Humanity, newly admitted to the galactic concord, sent a delegation to observe, their presence a mere formality in the eyes of the galaxy's titans, a gesture of courtesy barely acknowledged, their voices drowned out by the weight of ancient powers. Elias Kane stood at the edge of the grand atrium, his gray suit creased from sleepless nights aboard the human transport ship, his brown hair mussed, a stray lock falling over his brow, giving him a boyish air despite his 32 years. He was unremarkable. Average height, lean but not imposing, with hazel eyes that held a quiet intensity, like a man who saw the world in patterns others overlooked. He clutched a datapad, its screen glowing with notes on alien protocols. Vraxis logic trees, Silthar honor codes, Zorathian harmonic syntax. His fingers scribbling observations as dignitaries glided past, their gazes sliding over him as if he were a fixture of the station's decor, a shadow in a room of giants. Back on Earth, Elias had been a logistics clerk in New Chicago, a city of gleaming domes and storm-scarred streets, where he solved problems no one else noticed, rerouting supplies during floods, fixing jury-rigged systems with nothing but grit and intuition. A fluke aptitude test, administered during a colonial recruitment drive, had thrust him into the Concorde's diplomatic corps, but he carried no hero's mantle. He wasn't a soldier like his brother, lost in a border skirmish, nor a scientist like the ones who'd cracked Earth's first FTL drive. Yet within him burned a stubborn fire, a need to prove that humanity's smallness hid a strength the stars had yet to reckon with, a legacy for his parents, Clara and Tom, who'd taught him to find meaning in the smallest acts. Elias's mind drifted to his childhood, to nights when storms raged over New Chicago, the city's domes trembling under the onslaught of wind and rain. His mother, Clara, a nurse with calloused hands and a warm smile, sang lullabies to calm him. Her voice a beacon in the dark, her hazel eyes, so like his own, bright with love. "Keep going, Eli," she'd say, bandaging his scraped knees or soothing his fears during the colony's plague years. "The world's bigger than you, but so's your heart." His father, Tom, a mechanic with grease-stained fingers, taught him to see machines as puzzles, each bolt and wire a piece of a larger whole. "Listen to the rhythm," he'd grunt, showing Elias how to coax life from a broken engine, his gruff voice softening when he spoke of Clara. They were gone now, lost to the plague that swept the colonies when Elias was 20, leaving him with nothing but their lessons and a quiet resolve to find meaning in a world that often felt too vast. He wasn't here to be a hero, but to honor them, to prove that even a nobody could matter in a galaxy that saw humanity as nothing. Across the atrium, Lyriath Varn entered, and the air itself seemed to bow in reverence, a hush falling over the gathered dignitaries. A Zorath commander, she was a vision of alien grace. Tall, her translucent form shimmering with bioluminescent patterns that pulsed like starlight across her skin, shifting from azure to gold with her mood, each hue a word in the silent language of her people. Her silver eyes burned with a piercing clarity, cutting through the chaos of the summit like a blade through silk. Her mantle of woven energy rippled like liquid flame, a living extension of her will, its patterns shifting to reflect her emotions. Gold for resolve, violet for irritation, blue for empathy, a dance of light that spoke louder than words. As a Sirith, a war singer, she led fleets with songs that could stun minds, shatter hulls, or rally armies to face certain death. Her voice was both weapon and prayer, a harmonic force that bent reality to her command, capable of weaving shields or breaking worlds. To her, the summit was a battlefield of words, a delicate dance where every note could tip the balance toward peace or war, and she was its undisputed general. Lyriatha's own history weighed on her, though she hid it beneath her radiant poise. She'd risen through the Zorath ranks, her Caliph, the personal song that defined her essence, forged in the crucible of war. Her first command, a fleet against Silthar raiders in the nebula of shattered vows, had cost her mentor, a Sirith named Caliph, whose final song shielded her at the cost of his light. "Sing for truth, Lyriath," he'd whispered as his glow faded, his form dissolving into starlight, leaving her alone in the wreckage of their victory. She carried that debt, her songs honed to protect her people, her emotions disciplined into tools, never truths. She'd seen countless battles, her voice turning tides against Vraxis stratagems and Silthar assaults, but each victory left her more isolated. Her Caliph unsung to any but herself, a melody locked away in her heart. To her, humans were a curiosity, their chaotic hearts a liability in the galaxy's delicate balance, their presence at the summit an amusing distraction at best. She noticed Elias at once, not for his presence but for his awkwardness. He'd stepped into the path of a Silthar emissary, a towering figure named Carvox, whose metallic form pulsed with restrained aggression, its eyes glowing like molten iron, its surface etched with runes of honor and conquest. Elias muttered an apology, stepping aside as Carvox brushed past, its disdain palpable, a low rumble vibrating through its frame like the growl of a forge. Lyriath's lips curved in faint amusement, her harmonic voice low as she spoke to her aide, Talise, a shorter Zorath whose amber glow flickered with quiet cynicism, his mantle tattered from years of service. Lyriath, behold, Talise, an ephemera stumbling among titans. Why do they send such frail creatures to our councils? Their lives flicker out before they learn to stand. Talise, with a dry hum, curiosity, perhaps, or hubris. They think their voices carry weight in a galaxy that outlives them. A fleeting spark, nothing more. Elias caught the melodic edge of their words, though he didn't speak Zorath, its syntax a cascade of harmonics too complex for his translator to fully parse. The mockery in their tone was clear, a sting he'd felt before. From colleagues on Earth who called him a dreamer, from alien diplomats who saw humanity as a child playing at greatness, their brief lives a curiosity at best. His jaw tightened, but he buried his frustration, focusing on his datapad. Diplomacy was a machine, he thought, like any other, gears turning, rhythms pulsing, patterns waiting to be read. If he could trace its currents, he could find a way to matter. He typed a note. Zorath aide, Amberglow nervous. Possible descent in delegation. Watch for signals. Lyriath sensed his emotions from across the room. A Zorathian gift that let her taste feelings like humans read faces. Elias's mix of resolve, frustration, and quiet hurt was intriguing. Chaotic, yes, but not weak. Not the aimless passion she'd expected from an ephemera. It was a puzzle, nothing more, she told herself, her focus returning to the summit's delicate dance of power, her mantle glowing gold as she prepared to address the assembly. The atrium buzzed with tension as the delegations took their places around a holographic table, its surface projecting star charts and contested borders, glowing lines tracing systems caught in the Zorath-Silther conflict, worlds rich with quantum crystals, vital for Vraxis tech, and nebulae that hid Zorath outposts. Elias stood behind the human ambassador, Dr. Maravas, a stern woman with gray-streaked hair and eyes sharp as a hawk's, her presence commanding despite humanity's low status. Voss trusted Elias's knack for observation, honed through years of seeing what others ignored, supply shortages that saved colonies, system failures that averted disasters. Kane, she whispered, her voice low, watch the Zorath. Their emotions drive their words. If you spot a shift, note it, and keep an eye on the Silther. They're spoiling for a fight. Elias nodded, his eyes scanning Lyriath's delegation. Her mantle glowed steady gold, a sign of resolve, but Talis's amber flickered nervously, and a third Zorath, Celes, a healer with a faint green glow, seemed distracted, her harmonics soft and uneven, her eyes darting to a young Zorath diplomat named Aelith, whose faint blue glow betrayed her inexperience. Pattern, he thought, filing it away. He noticed, too, Carvox, the Silther leader, whose metal form pulsed with restrained aggression, its voice a low rumble that set Elias's nerves on edge, its runes glowing brighter with each accusation. The Vraxis mediator, a crystalline drone named Zenith, hovered silently, its facets reflecting the room's light like a prism, its presence cold and unreadable, but Elias caught a faint pulse in its facets. A signal, perhaps, too subtle for most to notice. Elias's datapad buzzed with a message from Lila, a human aide stationed in the station's comms hub, a wiry woman with a knack for tech and a sharp wit that had kept Elias grounded during their training days. Kane, something's off, her message read. Silther ships are repositioning near the neutral beacon, too coordinated for a routine patrol. Also picking up encrypted Vraxis signals, routed through secondary channels. Smells like a setup. Elias frowned, his fingers typing a reply. Keep me posted. Cross-check Zorath signals too. Focus on the aide amber and the healer green. Something's not right. He sensed a thread, faint but there, connecting Talis's nervousness, Celes's distraction, Aelith's unease, and the Silther's movements. A puzzle, he thought, his mind already tracing its edges, his instincts honed from years of finding order in chaos. As the summit began, Lyriath spoke, her voice a harmonic cascade that filled the room, each note a blend of strength and plea, her mantle glowing brighter with every word. The Zorath seek no war, but we will not yield our systems to Silthar ambition, she said, her silver eyes locked on Karvok's. Our patrols defend our borders, nothing more. Let us weave peace, not destruction. Karvok's countered, his rumble shaking the table, his runes flaring red. Your patrols provoke us, Warsinger. Your songs cannot hide your intent to claim the crystal nebulae for yourselves. The tension was a live wire, sparking with every word, the air heavy with the weight of impending conflict. Elias, watching, noticed Talis slip a small crystal, a Zorathian data shard, its surface etched with harmonic runes, into Celes' hand, their glows dimming as if to hide the act. He typed a note, Zorath Aid Amber, past shard to healer, green, possible intel transfer, linked to Vrax's signals? He messaged Lila, check for encrypted Zorath signals routed through Vrax's tech. Focus on the healer and the shard. Before she could reply, chaos erupted. A Silthar warship, misreading a Zorath patrol's maneuver as aggression, fired on a neutral beacon, its plasma burst lighting up Etherian sensors. Alarms screamed through the station, and its shields flared against the gas giant's crimson glow, the station trembling as stray shots grazed its hull. Diplomats scattered, their voices a cacophony of accusation and fear. Karvox roared, his metal fists denting the table, accusing the Zorath of betrayal. Lyriatha's mantle flared crimson, her voice a sharp harmonic that silenced the room momentarily. We seek no war, Karvox. Your ships fired first. Explain this treachery. Voss grabbed Elias's arm, her face grim. Kane, we're evacuating. Stay sharp. This isn't an accident. As they moved toward the shuttle bay, Elias saw the Zorath child. A wisp of light no taller than his waist, its glow flickering in terror. Trapped beneath a collapsing panel, its harmonic wail piercing the chaos. Without thinking, he sprinted forward, his shoulders slamming against the debris, pain lancing through him as he heaved, muscles straining until the child was free. He scooped it up, its light warm against his chest, and carried it to a Zorath guard, his breath coming in ragged gasps. The guard, stunned, took the child, its glow pulsing gratitude, its harmonics soft with thanks. Lyriath, directing her guards to secure her delegation, witnessed the act. Her silver eyes narrowed, her mantle flaring with surprise, a ripple of violet threading through the gold. A human risking his fragile life for a Zorath? It defied her understanding of their kind, who she'd been taught were selfish, driven by instinct rather than honor. She approached, her voice sharp with harmonic undertones, cutting through the din of alarms and shouting. Lyriath, ephemera, why did you do that? Your body could have broken. Elias, wiping sweat from his brow, met her gaze, his hazel eyes steady despite the pain in his shoulder. Didn't think about it. Kid needed help. Lyriath, pausing, intrigued. You act without thought? That is reckless. Your kind values survival above all. Elias, with a faint, weary smile, maybe. But it's what makes us human. We don't always think. Just do what's right. She turned away, her mantle dimming as she dismissed him. But his words lingered, a strange melody that didn't fit her worldview. A human who acted not for gain but for another, without calculation. It was a spark, nothing more. She told herself, her focus returning to her people. But sparks could be dangerous, and she felt the first stirrings of doubt, a note out of place in her carefully composed caliph. The summit collapsed in a storm of accusations. Karvok stormed out, his runes blazing, vowing retaliation. The Zorath delegation retreated, Lyriatha's voice a steady song that calmed her people, her mantle glowing gold to mask her unease. Zenith, the Vrax's mediator, hovered silently, its crystalline form unreadable, but Elias caught another faint pulse in its facets. A signal, too subtle for most to notice, but not for him. Lila's message buzzed through, confirmed encrypted Zorath signals, routed through Vrax's tech. Talis and Celes involved. Shard's data is military fleet movements. Vraxis are playing both sides. The thread tightened, and Elias's heart raced. This wasn't just a misunderstanding, it was a setup, a Vraxis gambit to destabilize the Concord. He messaged Voss. Vraxis manipulating Silthar and Zorath. Talis and Celes are pawns. Need to warn the delegation. Before Voss could respond, another explosion rocked the station, a stray shot grazing its hull, sending panels crashing. The evacuation became a scramble, diplomats and aides fleeing to shuttle bays as Vraxis drones buzzed. Their calming pulses useless against the panic. Elias followed Voss, his datapad clutched tight, his mind churning with fragments of the puzzle. Talis' shard, Celes' distraction, Aelith's unease, the Vraxis signals, the Silthar's too-quick aggression. Patterns, he thought, but there was no time to unravel them. Fate, or perhaps the galaxy's cruel humor, placed Elias on the same escape shuttle as Lyriath, a sleek Zorath craft bound for Erin, a neutral volcanic moon cloaked in crystal mists, its surface a labyrinth of danger and beauty. The shuttle carried 10 others: Talis, Celes, Aelith, the Vraxis observer Kael'Whitech, whose crystalline arm clicked softly, its facets dimmed by a fracture. The human aides Joran, a brash ex-soldier with a chipped tooth and a quick temper, and Lila, sharp-witted and tech-savvy. Farnock, a Silthar technician who defected to the Concord, his metal form etched with scars from his kin's wrath. Vare, the Zorath pilot, whose calming song steadied the group. Myra, a human medic with steady hands and a quiet resolve. And Zorath, a grizzled Zorath guard named Theron, whose red glow pulsed with battle-worn strength. The shuttle launched, its engines thrumming with harmonic resonance. A low hum that vibrated through the hull, but Elias's mind churned with questions. Why had Talis passed that shard? What were the Vraxis hiding? Why did Aelith keep glancing at Celes, her blue glow flickering with fear? And what was Theron's role? His red glow steady but his eyes watchful. Mid-transit, a Silthar sabotage drone. Sleek, black, its sensors glowing like embers. Struck the shuttle, its plasma lance searing through the hull. The craft spiraled, alarms blaring as Vare fought the controls. His song a desperate chord that faltered as the systems failed. "Brace!" he sang, his voice breaking. The shuttle crashed into Erin's jagged canyons, its hull crumpling against obsidian spires, the impact a thunderclap that echoed through the mists. Vare was killed, his glow snuffed out, his mantle dissolving into fading light. Kael'Whitech's crystalline arm fractured further, its clicks sharp with pain. Celes and Talis were concussed, their lights dim, their harmonics unsteady. Joran and Lila suffered broken ribs, their breaths shallow. Varnock's metal arm sparked, its circuits damaged, his runes flickering. Aelith's mantle flickered with panic, her blue glow faint. Theron's red glow held steady, but a gash across his arm pulsed with light. Myra, bruised but unbroken, began tending the wounded. Only Elias and Lyriath emerged unscathed, though Elias's shoulder throbbed from the summit's rescue, a dull ache that grounded him. Erin was a crucible of beauty and peril, a moon forged in fire and crystal. Obsidian peaks jutted like daggers, their edges glinting in the light of twin moons that cast eerie shadows across the landscape. Their pale glow refracting through mists thick with mineral vapor, shimmering like liquid glass. Glowing fungal groves pulsed with bioluminescent light, their spores drifting like fireflies, their roots weaving through the ground like veins of light. Crystalline streams wound through the canyons, their waters glowing with trace minerals, reflecting the moon's pale light in a kaleidoscope of colors. The air was breathable but heavy, tasting of sulfur and ash, stinging the lungs with each breath, a reminder of Erin's volcanic heart. The shuttle's wreckage smoked amid a canyon, its beacon shattered, its comms fried, its hull a twisted ruin of Zorathian crystal and human steel. Lyriath assessed the situation with a commander's precision, her mantle glowing gold as she calculated their odds. 30 kilometers to the Zorath outpost, through terrain that could kill them a dozen ways, with Silthar drones likely tracking them. Elias, guided by Earth's disaster drills, scavenged supplies, food packs, a med kit for thermal blankets, a cracked power cell, a damaged Zorathian scanner, a fragment of Vraxis crystal that hummed faintly, and a silver blade, its edge still sharp despite the crash. Their approaches clashed like flint on steel. Liriath, her voice sharp, insisted on repairing the beacon herself, her mantle flaring violet with irritation. "Ephemera, step aside," she said, her silver eyes narrowing. "Your hands lack the finesse for Zorath tech." Elias, calm but firm, offered the power cell, his hazel eyes steady. "Name's Elias, not Ephemera. I fixed worse with less. Let me take a look." "You presume much, human?" she retorted. But time was short, and the weight of command pressed on her. She relented, watching as Elias studied the beacon's glyphs with his datapad's translator, its screen flickering in the dim light. His fingers, steady despite her scrutiny, traced the harmonic relay circuits, spotting a misalignment, a design flaw, not sabotage, a subtle flaw in the Zorathian tech that even their engineers had missed. He adjusted it, coaxing a faint signal that pulsed like a heartbeat, its rhythm of fragile hope in the darkness. Liriath grudgingly, "You heard the relay's song?" Elias, shrugging, a faint smile tugging at his lips, "Not the song. The pattern. Machines talk if you listen." A ripple of doubt stirred in Liriath's mind, a discordant note in her carefully composed worldview. Humans, she'd been taught, were crude, their thoughts linear, their tech primitive. Yet Elias saw what her trained eyes missed, his hands moving with a quiet confidence that unsettled her. She buried the unease, focusing on survival. The Zorath outpost was their only hope, a beacon of safety in a landscape that seemed to breathe hostility. With the injured in tow, they began their trek, Elias and Liriath rigging stretchers for HFY and Varnock, while Joran and Lila limped behind, guided by Talise and Celes. Aelith stayed close to Liriath, her blue glow flickering with fear, while Theron took point, his red glow a steady beacon, his silver blade at the ready. Myra moved among the wounded, her medkit open, her hands steady as she bandaged wounds and checked vitals. Aaron tested them at every step, its beauty a cruel mask for its dangers. Geysers erupted without warning, spewing scalding mist that burned exposed skin, leaving welts on Joran's arms and singeing Aelith's mantle. Crystalline predators, scorpion-like beasts with exoskeletons that refracted light into blinding flashes, stalked the mists, their claws glinting like blades, their chittering calls echoing through the canyons. Liriath's war songs drove them back, her voice weaving harmonics that stunned the creatures or shattered rock into barriers. Each note a pulse of light that lit the mists. Each song drained her, her glow dimming with every verse, her mantle flickering like a candle in the wind, her silver eyes heavy with exhaustion. Elias watched her, not with awe but with quiet concern, seeing the pride she wore like armor, the weight of command pressing on her shoulders, her light fading with each step. The group's dynamics were a tangle of tension and fragile alliances. Joran, brash and frustrated, snapped at Talise for slowing them down, his ribs aching with every step. "Your kind's too fragile," he muttered, his chipped tooth flashing in a scowl. Liriath's mantle flared crimson, her voice sharp. "Your noise drowns out reason, human. Mind your tongue." Elias stepped in, his voice calm but firm. "He's scared, not stupid. We're all out of our depth here. Let's keep moving." Joran fell silent, his scowl softening, and Liriath's glow steadied, her eyes lingering on Elias with new curiosity, a faint blue threading through her gold. Varnock, the silver defector, spoke little, his metal form hulking but damaged, his runes flickering with pain. Elias noticed his arms sparking circuits and offered to patch them, using the scanner's wiring and the silver blade's conductive edge. "Why help me?" Varnock rumbled, his voice like grinding gears, his eyes glowing faintly with suspicion. "Because you're here," Elias said simply, his hands steady as he worked. Varnock's runes pulsed, a sign of respect, and he shared a fragment of his past. A Silther who'd rejected his kin's warlust, fleeing to the Concord after refusing to fire on a Zorath colony. "I know betrayal," he said, his voice low. "It scars deeper than metal." Lila, quieter but sharp, shared Elias's knack for patterns, whispering to him about Talis's data shard as they trekked. "I saw it at the summit," she said, her voice low, her eyes scanning the group. Celes passed it to Aelith later. Its military fleet movements, maybe. And that Vraxis crystal you found? It's a neural relay, humming with encrypted data. Elias nodded, adding it to his notes. Keep watching, he murmured. Check the crystal's frequency. It might tie to the Vraxis signals. Thales, despite his concussion, offered grudging advice on Zorath tech, explaining the harmonic relay's principles to Elias as they repaired the scanner. You have a mind for patterns, he admitted, his amber glow steadying, his cynicism softening. Celes, weaker, sang soft healing songs for the group, her green light soothing Joran's and Lila's pain, her harmonics faint but steady. Klyth, the Vraxis observer, spoke in clipped tones, warning of Silther drone patterns. They hunt in triads, it said, its crystalline voice flat, its fractured arm clicking with each step. Aelith, the young diplomat, confided in Elias, her voice trembling. I trained with Celes. She's hiding something, a debt to the Vraxis. I should have spoken at the summit, but I was afraid. Elias, remembering his own doubts, reassured her. You're speaking now. That's enough. Aelith's glow steadied, and she began to sing softly, bolstering Celes's healing songs. Therein, the Zorath guard kept watch, his red glow a beacon in the mists, his blade flashing as he drove off a predator. He spoke little, but his eyes lingered on Lyriath, a mix of loyalty and something deeper. A history Elias sensed but couldn't name. Myra, the human medic, moved among the wounded, her steady hands a contrast to her quiet fear. I've seen worse, she said to Elias, her voice low, recalling Earth's plague years. But this place, it's alive, and it doesn't want us here. One night, in a fungal hollow lit by glowing spores that drifted like fireflies, Elias offered Lyriath his thermal blanket, its fabric patched but warm, its edges frayed from use. You're carrying everyone, he said softly, his hazel eyes meeting her silver ones. Let me carry something. Lyriath, defensive, her voice sharp. I am Cirith. I need no aid from an ephemera. Elias, unfazed, holding her gaze, not offering 'cause you're weak, offering 'cause you're not alone. Her silver eyes searched his, sensing his emotions. A steady warmth, like a hearth against the cold. A resolve that cut through the chaos she'd expected from a human. For the first time, she felt no turmoil in him, only a quiet strength that unsettled her, a note that resonated with her Caliph. Her fingers brushed his as she took the blanket, the touch lingering, a spark in the dark that sent a ripple through her glow, a faint blue threading through her gold. Days blurred into a gauntlet of survival, each step a test of will and wit. Elias's ingenuity shone in small but vital ways, rigging traps from wreckage to deter predators, identifying edible fungi by cross-referencing his datapad with Earth's survival guides, crafting a crude water filter from shuttle debris and crystal shards. He repaired Varnok's arm, earning the Silther's loyalty, the giant's runes glowing steady as he guarded the group's flank. He fixed the scanner, its harmonics syncing with the outpost's signal, giving them a faint lifeline. Lyriath, though skeptical at first, began to rely on his quiet competence, her violet irritation fading to gold, then blue as she watched him work. Their conversations grew less guarded, curiosity softening their edges. One evening, by a crystalline stream that glowed with mineral light, Lyriath asked about Earth, her voice softer, her mantle steady. She expected tales of savagery, but Elias spoke of forests that whispered in the wind, their leaves a symphony of green, of music that carried centuries of longing, from ancient ballads to colonial anthems, of people who loved fiercely despite their fleeting lives, their hearts burning bright in the face of loss. He shared a memory of his mother, singing during a storm, her voice a beacon in the dark, her hands bandaging his wounds. She taught me to keep going, he said, his voice soft, his eyes distant. No matter how small you feel. He paused, recalling his father's workshop, the smell of oil and metal, the hum of a fixed engine, his gruff voice softening as he spoke of Clara. My dad showed me how to find the rhythm in broken things. That's what I do. Fix what's broken, even if it's just a moment. Liriath, moved, shared a fragment of her past, her glow dimming as she spoke. My mentor, Caliph, sang his last song to save me, she said, her voice a low harmonic, heavy with memory. We fought Silthar raiders in the nebula of shattered vows. He wove a shield that held their fleet at bay, but it cost his life. Sing for truth, Liriath, he said as he faded. I sing to honor him, to protect our people. She spoke of her first battle, the fear of her Caliph faltering, the weight of leading her fleet through a storm of plasma and steel, her songs the only thing holding them together. Elias listened, his hazel eyes bright with empathy, seeing not just a commander but a woman carrying a debt she could never repay. Sounds like he'd be proud, he said, his voice steady. Liriath's mantle glowed blue, a Zorathian gesture of gratitude, her silver eyes softening as she looked at him. Their bond deepened as they faced new threats. A crystalline storm swept through the canyons, shards slicing the air like knives, their edges glinting in the moonlight. Liriath's song shielded the group, her harmonics weaving a barrier that shattered the shards before they struck. But a fragment grazed her arm, her glow flickering as light seeped from the wound. Elias bandaged her, his hands steady, his touch gentle, his breath catching at the warmth of her light. You're not invincible, he said, his voice low, his eyes locked on hers. Liriath met his gaze, her silver eyes soft, a faint smile curving her lips. Neither are you, she murmured, a rare admission that sent a spark through her Caliph, a note she hadn't sung in years. The group stumbled on a Vraxis probe, half buried in ash, its crystalline surface humming with encrypted data. Lila, her tech skills sharp, hacked its neural relay with Elias's help, revealing a chilling truth. The Vraxis had manipulated Silthar aggression to weaken the Zorath, using Talis as an unwitting courier for their plans. The shard he'd passed contained Zorath fleet movements, fed to the Silthar through Vraxis channels, a gambit to spark war and secure the crystal nebulae for themselves. Elias confronted Talis, his voice firm but not cruel, his hazel eyes steady. You passed that shard. Why? Talis's glow dimmed, shame pulsing in his harmonics. I was promised peace, he admitted, his voice low, his amber light flickering. The Vraxis said they'd broker a truce if I carried their data. I didn't know it was a lie. Liriath, furious, her mantle flaring crimson, nearly struck him, her voice a sharp chord. You betrayed us, Talis. Elias intervened, his hand on her arm, his touch grounding her. He's not the enemy. They used him. We need him to fix this. Liriath's anger cooled, her glow softening to gold, her trust in Elias growing, a quiet note of respect threading through her Caliph. Aelith, guilt-ridden, confessed to Elias that she'd suspected Celes' involvement but feared speaking out. I trained with her, she said, her blue glow faint, her voice trembling. She owed the Vraxis a debt, her sister's life, saved by their tech. I should have spoken at the summit, but I was afraid. Elias, remembering his own doubts during the plague years, when he'd hesitated to challenge failing systems, reassured her. You're speaking now. That's enough. Aelith's glow steadied, and she began to sing softly, bolstering Celes' healing songs, her harmonics a quiet apology. Celes, her green glow faint, admitted her role, her voice heavy with regret. The Vraxis saved my sister, but they demanded my silence, she said, her harmonics unsteady. I passed the shard to protect her, but I endangered us all. Liriath, her mantle glowing blue, forgave her, her voice soft. We all carry debts, Celes. Redeem yours now. Celes nodded, her healing songs strengthening, her light steadying as she worked to save the group. Therein, the Zorath guard revealed his own history, his red glow pulsing as he spoke to Elias during a watch. I served with Caliph, he said, his voice low. He saved me too once. Liriath's his legacy, but she carries too much. She needs someone to remind her she's not alone. Elias nodded, sensing Theron's unspoken love for Liriath, a loyalty that went beyond duty. But he saw, too, that Theron respected her choice to lead, to sing her own path. Myra, the human medic, shared her own scars with Elias, her voice quiet as they patched wounds. "I lost my brother to the plague," she said, her hand steady despite the pain in her eyes. "I keep going because someone has to. Like you." Elias smiled, his heart heavy but warm, seeing in Myra the same resolve his mother had carried. The group faced new dangers as they trekked. A sinkhole opened beneath them, its edges jagged with crystal, nearly swallowing Joran. Varnock pulled him free, his metal strength unyielding, his runes glowing with pride. A flock of crystalline bats, their wings sharp as blades, swarmed from a cave, their screeches disorienting. Lyriath's song drove them off, but the effort left her swaying, her glow faint. Elias caught her, his arm around her, his touch steadying her. "You can't do this alone," he said, his voice low. Lyriath's silver eyes met his, a spark of warmth in their depths. "I'm learning that," she said, her voice a soft harmonic. Under Erin's twin moons, as the others slept, Lyriath's strength faltered, her glow a faint shimmer, her mantle barely pulsing. Elias hummed a lullaby, his mother's song, its raw notes echoing in the hollow, stirring something in Lyriath. A resonance no war song could match, a note that touched her caliph. "Your song. It holds no power, yet it moves me," she said quietly, her silver eyes wide. "It's for someone you love?" Elias replied, smiling faintly, his heart racing. Hesitantly, she sang a Zorath lullaby, her voice weaving light across the pool, its harmonics soft and unguarded, a gift she'd never shared. Elias listened, his breath catching, feeling her trust, her vulnerability. Their worlds touched, human and Zorath, a spark kindling into flame. The Silther drones found them as they reached the Zorath outpost, a crystalline structure half buried in ash, its spires glowing faintly in the mists. The drones attacked, their plasma lances searing the ground, their triads moving with lethal precision. Lyriath prepared a war song that could destroy them but would burn her life force to ash, her mantle flaring crimson with resolve. Elias, refusing to lose her, devised a plan. Hack the outpost's comm array to broadcast a decoy signal, luring the drones into a geyser field. With Talus's and Lila's help, he succeeded, the signal pulsing through the mists, but a drone's shot grazed him, searing his side, blood staining the ash. Lyriath caught him, her glow pulsing with fear, her voice a desperate cry. "Elias!" Her song shifted, no longer a weapon but a shield, its harmonics weaving a barrier that held the drones at bay. Talus, Celes, and Aelith joined her, their songs bolstering hers, while Varnock and Daring guarded the group, their blades flashing. Myra dragged Elias to cover, her medkit open, her hands steady as she stanched the bleeding. The drones faltered, their circuits overloaded, but a final lance struck the outpost, collapsing its roof. Elias, fading, pushed Lyriath away, his voice weak. "Go, save them." She refused, her song a prayer, its light enveloping him, tethering him to life. A Zorathian fleet arrived, their ships descending like comets, their songs shattering the last drones. Medics swarmed, stabilizing Elias and the others, evacuating them to a cruiser, its hulls glowing with harmonic light. Aboard the cruiser, Lyriath sat by Elias's bedside, her glow dim but steady, her hand near his. The Vraxis plot was exposed, their manipulation of Talus and Celes revealed through the probe's data and Elias's notes. Humanity's role, Elias's ingenuity, Lila's tech skills, Myra's care, reshaped alien views, forcing the Concord to recognize the ephemera's strength. Lyriath addressed the Zorath enclave, her voice a beacon, her mantle glowing with resolve. "I called them ephemera, fleeting sparks in our eternal light," she said, her harmonics clear. "I was blind. Elias Kane risked his life for a Zorath child. For me, for us all. He taught me that love is not a tool, it is a truth. I will sing his truth until my light fades." Elias recovered, their reunion tender, charged with unspoken promises. "You sang for me," he said softly, his hazel eyes bright. And you lived for me, Liriath replied, her voice a gentle hum, singing a fragment of her caliph, a melody of trust and love, their fingers intertwined, a bridge across worlds, their touch a promise that defied the galaxy's cold logic. The others watched, Talise, redeemed, his amber glow steady, Celes, forgiven, her healing song stronger, Aelith, bolder, her blue light bright, Varnock, loyal, his runes glowing with pride, Darren, at peace, his red glow calm, Lila and Myra, smiling, their human hearts proud, Joran, humbled, his scowl gone. The galaxy watched, some in scorn, others in awe, as a human and a Zorathian wove a new song, one of love, courage, and defiance. Years later, the galactic concord stood stronger, humanity's voice rising from a whisper to a chorus, their place earned through acts of heart, not might. Elias and Liriath, partners in life and diplomacy, traveled the stars, their love a beacon for what the galaxy could become. They returned to Erin, standing beneath its twin moons, the mists glowing with their shared light, his steady warmth, her radiant harmony. Their love was no fairy tale, but a hard-won truth, forged in fire, ash, and song. They laughed at their differences, Elias's stubborn earth idioms, Liriath's insistence on harmonic precision. They wept for their losses, comrades fallen, worlds scarred by war. They dreamed of a galaxy where every spark could shine, where love could defy the cold logic of the stars. On Erin, they stood hand in hand, their breaths mingling with the mists. Liriath sang a new song, blending her caliph with Elias's lullaby, its harmonics a melody of unity that echoed through the canyons. Elias hummed along, his voice rough but steady, his heart full. Their love was a story told in starlight, a defiance of a galaxy that had underestimated them. As the moons rose, Erin's winds carried their song outward, a chorus of hope that resonated through the cosmos, a testament to humanity's fire, a fire that burned brighter than any star in the endless night. Humanité, et fastérisque se caillait, not because they were the strongest, but because they dared to care, to love, to weave their fleeting sparks into a flame that would light the galaxy forever.